Alright, and there we go. We are officially starting another video. Hello guys, welcome back in this video. This is gonna be a more interesting one for me. I've been wanting to do this one for a while, which is a playlist of how to make addons in Allods Online. So I've been making addons for a while myself now. That's why I've been doing a lot less of uploading as well, because it's choosing. It's either making videos and editing and bringing up ideas on how to do all of that, or spending time making addons and figuring out the problems and programming these little things, and then getting stuck on how to make widgets for another 2 weeks and learning how that works and all that stuff. So it's really pick and choose. And so now I've been doing a few addons. I've got a few addons to my name. I thought, why not combine them and make videos about how to make addons, because there are so few European addon developers really that can talk about different ideas and so on and so forth. I only know one, and it's Experiment, and it's me. And there was other guys that were making addons from European region, but they kind of quit the game, so there's not many of us left. So I want to make this a more approachable thing, because addons as they are right now are pretty tricky to get into. If you want to make them, documentation is all in Russian, translators might mess up a thing or two, and there's literally no really, an introduction on how to make addons or a base of that. But I really wanted to learn it, so I learned it from Experiment and Passitype. So I want to dedicate this playlist already, starting off to thank Experiment and thank you Passitypes for teaching me all the tricks and know-hows on how it really works, and then finally thanking them for sitting with me for hours and hours on end through nights, explaining me and showing me how certain things should be done and why it doesn't work the way I did them, and so on and forth. So just know that you guys spend a lot of time with me, and I want to thank you this way for doing that. Moving on, we'll be explaining in this first video. It's going to be an introductory video. I'll be explaining a few things that we'll be using along the way, and basically show you guys a few things that we're going to be seeing in the future videos. If you're more interested in the real stuff, it's going to start from video number 2, but in this one we're going to just go over a few things. I'm going by a script so I don't forget anything that I've written down. There's not much on it, so it's going to be a pretty short video. But the first thing I'll be going over is the widgets tool AOUIEditor, Allods Online User Interface Editor. This is a program that is relevantly new. Everything I'll be talking about will be also for download, link in the description down below, so you'll be able to download everything and set up right. So first thing, Allods Online UI Editor. Basically, it's a program. Let me drag it over here, scoodle this skedaddle. I'll try to show everything on one single screen as well, so that you'll be seeing everything quite clearly. So this will be the link in the description, so you don't have to Google it for yourself. Basically, it's a program that allows us to make the graphical user interface basically of an addon. So anything you see here, let me see here, what you see here, that's a graphical user interface of an addon, right? This is something that the player has made all together, set up, buttons, clicks, whatever else you can imagine. Same here. The windows, you'll see as well the assets that are used are always quite similar and Allods themed, because that's how they work. See, so all these little windows with information and buttons and all these things, these are quite impressive. You might not think about it when you're downloading addons and go ahead and use them, but from an addon developer's perspective, these are quite big things. These are really, really well done. This is a special one. This is one that's using his own self-made assets, I believe. Now, I don't know why I did that. This is one I'm making myself, so that's very basic. Yeah, so basically the user interface of an addon, that's what this tool is going to help us for. Before this tool was a thing, people had to really do it the old school way, which is mad and beyond my imagination. I don't know how that works, but I'm managing fine with the tool, so we're gonna go over the tool. I'm still learning the tool myself, but I'm going quite well. I think it's well enough known to make a video about it, but it will also tackle only this tool at the end of the series, because it is better to first learn how addons work and how to make them, and then make the graphical user interface at the end, is what I believe. Now, first things, I'm gonna try and show you guys a little bit of the tool. I'm not going to go too much into detail because we're gonna do that on the last video. But basically this is the tool, and this is basically how it's gonna go. We're gonna go like we're gonna create a project. We'll give the addon a name. So basically we're gonna give our addon a name. So this is gonna be a addon test, right? A little bit of things, and then the location. We click overview to put where it should go. So we go to addons. It's gonna go in the addons folder, and I'm going to create a folder called addon test in the addons folder. Press OK, and there it's gonna be. So if you go now to our addons, data mods addons, it's going to be here. There we go, addon test, and this is basically what the program created for us. So we got a script with the main script. I'll just open it in Notepad++ for now. We'll be using something else later. This is basically the main script. This is the template, the basis of everything to make an addon work. Then we got widgets, which is what this program does. Widgets is the graphical stuff, which is also the basis with it. And then the addon description is what tells the game how the addon works and what exists from the addon. This is the blueprint of the addon. Addon description is very important. It is the blueprint of everything. And that's the whole addon basically. So what we're gonna do is a quick example, not too much into detail. We'll create a new widget file. Give me a second to put my dog outside. So quick short example, we can select here different things what we want to put on the addon. As you can see, these are the graphical things. Some things are not shown either. It's still a work in progress as well, and I'm using an older version because the newer version is better, but it's only in Russian, and I haven't gotten around yet to translating every button and so on for the program. Anyway, too much off track. So basically you want to get a button, right? Give the button a name, button whatever, select it, press OK, and then it's in the program. You'll see here that it's here, which already is a mistake. You should always put it in widgets, but that's for something later. Like I said, doesn't matter much. But we have the button here. This is the description of the button in the addon, and main form, right? And then we go to addon test, which is the addon itself. We'll go to children, we'll put the child, we'll add it in the addon test widgets. It's in a button, open, and it broke already because I put it wrong in the beginning. Basically this is gonna work. This is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna do it again, but then correctly this time. So I'll do button 2, and I'll put it correctly this time in the widgets folder, and somehow that's gonna work better now. There we go. So you see here, there's the button, and then we can you know, put it in the middle, whatever, change the size of the button, and so on and forth. And then when we create the button, we'll be able to put it in the game, and then we'll add functionality to it, and so on and forth. So this is what we're gonna use to do the tools, the widgets basically. Right, that attacked. We're moving on to the second one, which is Addon Reloader. This is a really helpful addon. Again, download link in the description. You can see here it's a bottom, it's a little button here, bottom right. When I right click it, you get this whole thing with all the addons basically in it. So basically all the addons you have in here are in there, plus some extra ones from the game itself, which might be interesting to play with. But basically, event calendar, see, if you take that on and off, and I click it to open now, it doesn't work, it doesn't open. Quite a few of these things are in here, but what we're interested in is the user addon, which are the addons that we use, that we made ourselves, whatever, are in here. And you can really use this to lively edit and develop your addon. This is a necessary tool, I believe, to make your addons. So for example, when you're making your addon, you'll see that later as well. We're going to use this tool all the time and making addons in the videos. When you are making an addon, you're writing your code, your script, whatever it is, you can left click to select it, and every time you left click the button, it's going to reload the addon. For example, the one I'm working on lately is called Guild Bot. So we'll select this one here, and every time I'll click it, it says Guild Bot loaded. So every time it does that, it's reloaded my addon. Now this is in a custom line, chat line as well I've put in. So every time I click it, it's going to reload the code of that addon. So every adjustment I've made, I don't need to reboot the game to load in the new file. This is going to restart the addon. I think it's similar to going to addons and clicking restart on it, but saving you the hassle of going there and clicking on all that stuff. So that's really what it comes down to. That's how we use Addon Reloader. Very useful add-on, so please download it and get it prepared because you're going to need it a lot. Next up, I see we have where to get APIs and how they work. So there's going to be two ways of where you can get all the information. First off, I'll go to the folder. We'll go to games. We'll basically go to where Allods is installed, data, mods, and then you have documents. So instead of going to addons and where all the addons are, we'll go to the docs for documents. Everyone has this by default. And basically you're gonna have a similar looking thing like mine. I have a few things extra from trying around, but it doesn't work anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Basically what you're gonna have is you're gonna have these change lists created in index. So we'll go with index and it's gonna open a, it's a HTML page, so it's gonna open this stuff and with some links. And basically we usually always go to Lua API functions and events provided by the game client. So this line is what we usually go to, and then it's going through the files you have here, right? So this is where it's all coming from, and there's all the API functions and events and whatever else that we're going to be using to make addons. This is basically data that the developers of the game of Allods Online have been put available for use for us to use in addons. This is basically alright. Time to get my paint skills up. I was thinking about this all night last night, how I'm gonna visually present to you guys how it really works. So right, there we go, that's better. So first off, we have Allods Online, right, as a black box. This is Allods, and Allods has small pipes going out of it, and just imagine these pipes are data pipes with information, and each pipe has different information, such as this one has chat information, this pipe has group information, like what else is there? Let's take a look at the APIs real quick. We'll go to events because it all starts with events, so we're gonna go from events basically. Guild, we have a guild, we've got a guild pipe, and so on and forth. Like anything that's from in the game is information that can be gained from Allods Online. Let's put Allods Online here so it's also not too confusing. So all these data pipes, all right, so everything from Allods Online has a pipe of data that goes through these things, right? So for example, we have our addon, basically my addon, right? So this is basically how it's gonna go. Our addon here is a program, and we'll be connecting these data pipes to our addon. But that's a bit too much ahead. Basically, we have these pipes available with data that we can work with. That is what the APIs are. And in especially events. Events are things that are triggering information from the game to come into our addon, and then we can do things with that information. That is going to be what I'm showing on the next video, how we're gonna start getting information from the game and use that. But that's basically how the APIs work. We have events, we have functions, we have enumeration, we have categories. And we'll mostly be working with events and functions. Events is what gets us the data from the game into our addon. Functions is what's going to make us do things with that data for our addon, and then of course do things in our addon to make our addon a thing. Functions are really the doers. Events are bringing us the data. But everything will become clear as we move on later into this stage. So that is where to get APIs and how they work. You've also got another Pro. So this is the website from the basically also player-based, player-made and player-governed. And we'll be going up here to addons, and then you got addons development and API description. If you didn't know, if you just click on addons, this is where you get all the addons themselves. So people do make a lot of these things. But the problem is that most of these are made by Russian players, so most new addons take a while for us to be able to be compatible. Either way, you go to addons development and API description, and here's basically the same interface we had in the beginning. when we opened the index. And it does load a little bit slower, even though it runs from our computer, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But basically this is also a bit more expanded, as Lafayette has gone through different things. So developer tools also shows here the UI, the GUI editor, the compiler, texture viewer is another one that's going to be helpful that I'll touch upon later, and inspectapi, which is as well, libdmb's library. Now don't be bothered too much about this for now. We'll tackle everything as we go, but basically here's the same thing: Lua API, functions and events. As you can see, the same as here basically. So you click on this and then you got all the APIs available as well. So you can get them here online, along with some extra tools and things to go over. One that I would recommend you doing if you're completely new to programming, you can check out here instructions how Lua works in 60 minutes and how to learn to program in Lua. This is not something you're gonna learn, you know, watch one time and you know everything how it works, but it will give you an idea of some things, how they work, and you're going to be simply learning as you go. And if you're stuck sometime, you can Google it or whatever, or ask me or ask ChatGPT, because that's a big help as well. And then we'll get our way around that way, right? Okay, that's about the APIs and where they come from and how they really work. Remember how they work is basically like this. If that was clear, I hope it was. If it wasn't clear, let me know. I can always improve. Next up, we'll go with the inspect widgets, which is another add-on. So when I do inspect widgets, we get this little window pop up, and we can use this to inspect certain things of the game. Widgets are basically things you can see in the game that you can click on or whatever, and this is basically what that is. You can use this to find out if you want to start off from a widget. For example, you want to add a button on the mailman to do certain things. I'm just saying that because that's an idea I have for another add-on I have. You can then figure out how to access the data from that mailman's panel, right? So if I go to the mailman real quick here, when you talk to him, you see that there's the window. Basically the idea I have is when you make a menu message, I'm going to make buttons here appear or whatever, and then make those buttons do something. So you'd want to find information on how to get access to this panel. So you do inspect widgets, and then you basically gotta look for you know, the logic way of how to get to the mailman. Now I'm not too experienced with this either. I haven't used it for that much, but that's basically how you can use inspect widgets, is to find out where certain elements are coming from and how to access these things. Next up, we got inspect widget and inspect API. Sorry, this is another add-on that is up for download in the description. This is basically showing APIs live. Now this probably tells you nothing, but as I see it, I can see APIs really from what we have seen before, going into detail and gets you that live information in here, so you don't really have to play around with chat commands to output data and then work with that data and so on and forth. It shows it here live. I'm not using this too much for now, but I see potential, so I'll be playing around with this. But this is something that might potentially help you as well. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm not experienced in using this for now. I just want you to know that it exists, and if you're feeling brave, you might as well just, you know, play around with it and see what you can get from it. But that is inspect API. Next up, we have the programming tool. So basically what we'll be using, or what I'm going to use, and I'll advise you to use as well, because this is a great program, is this thing called Visual Studio Code. It's amazing to program in. This is actually an add-on I've been working on as well. So as you can see, it's not too much programming, it's just lines of code that do things with other lines of code, and then really that is what you do. If this looks too complicated for now, then that's completely fine. We'll learn how to do all of this and more later on. But this is the program that we're going to be using. So Visual Studio Code link will be in the download description. And then I believe I've tackled everything I can tackle that we'll be using majorly in add-on development for Allods Online. So go ahead, go have a look in the description, get your stuff ready there, and then we'll move over to video number 2, how to start making an add-on basically. Thanks guys for watching, see you next one, peace.